Welcome everyone. You're listening, perhaps watching, calling the Audible. It is Division 1 and Division 2. I'm your host, Peeze, Della, Reeze, and I'm very worried for Eagles' health.
Why?
Because he might die of beaties.
And
Right?
you are?
And I am Stefano,
I was
who
just there.
thinks
See how long it
diabetes is actually a disease.
I'm Simon. I have to keep Stefano in check.
In check.
I was about to say in order.
Which one's better?
It's very French to say in order.
And
well, you're
I
French,
am
okay.
Eagle, where the beaties is dying.
Google die of beaties. I want to see what happens.
It'll just autocorrect diabetes. You know that, right?
No, if you write in 3 words, die of beaties.
It basically just gives a whole bunch of Twitter results of people not spelling it properly,
Fair
including a guy saying, "I think I'm a die of beaties."
And that person, of course, was the Eagle of Master Control. A game we're both at, Simo. You and I, Process Squad and #NR. And actually, you and I kind of watched from the other field too at one point.
Yes.
A little bit.
I knew that game would be a disaster.
Listen, it was a weird game.
It was funny.
It was way closer than it
Then
should have been,
shows, yeah.
and way closer than the score shows. Actually, Prospect Squad was up for most of this game until
The first half.
Why?
That's most of the game.
Yeah. And then Dagenais, well, I think they were up like just before halftime too, but Dagenais really took it away in the second half. This does not look like the Dagenais we remember from the past few seasons with Corey Becker. They're lacking the number 1 and number 2 players that they had in the past season. They had like Troy, they had like Serge Pilon. Now they're supposed to have Jamal Giddens, but he's hurt. Jermaine Parrish is a good player, but he doesn't have the same kind of impact Serge Pilon had on this team. It just feels like they're a bit lackluster, and there's no reason they kept Prospect Squad hanging in this game for so long.
I saw a sort of a scuffle occur, and it seemed to be for the weirdest reason ever.
Oh,
Yes.
so good.
And you did not believe me when I told you what that reason was.
It was so good. So they, the player on Dagenais intercepted Vincent Rozon, the quarterback for Prospect Squad.
Which player?
Which player?
I think, I'm not sure. I think
Think.
it was Prince Copperfield.
Mike Zimmy.
Mike
Yeah.
Zimmy or... Yep.
Picked him off, started running back to the end zone. Right,
Mhm.
so he beats the QB, starts running to the end zone, realizes there's nobody left, sort of slows down. When he gets into the end zone, there's a guy who got off the bench from Prospect Squad and tackled him. Didn't bring him down, didn't hurt him.
No, didn't
just
tackle him. He removed his flag.
took his tackle in our
Yeah,
league.
but
Didn't
just-
hurt him.
I want to give people the wrong idea that it was
Stepped onto the
physical.
field, grabbed his flags, gave it back to him, and walked off the field. So technically, it didn't do anything. Obviously,
The refs called it.
the refs
instantly.
called it instantly.
There's so many flags.
But the player who brought back the defensive player who was deflagging in the end zone lost it. He got mad. He's like, "What are you doing? You can't do this. This is bullshit." So he started yapping his mouth at him, and that's when the other
But
guy.
what's the point of fighting about that? Like, I would have laughed. Like, it's
I would have
funny.
laughed hysterically.
Yeah,
It's funny.
and it was like
So when you get in someone's face about that, what are you even saying?
it was
Why
all,
did you
That's a
deflag me
penalty.
illegally?
Yes.
it
Yes,
was
is.
also like the turning point of the game because NR was up
Yeah.
by a score. Prospect Squad was down like 6 points, and they were trying to get back, and then that pick 6 just blew the game open for #NR. But the guy got on the field. He got his penalty. He didn't play afterwards. Once again, same guy from last week decided to take his shirt off. Happened again. Took his shirt off. I don't get this team. It's funny to me because they're not doing anything violent or wrong. They're just sort of there. But I've never seen this before, and it makes me laugh.
Chris Rivera was at the game. He's
What?
adding a new audio visual component for us this season. And he had some footage that he shared of the #NR Process Squad game. This is a ball being thrown to Katie Myers, who brings it in for a touchdown.
He enjoys flexing after his touchdowns for some reason.
He was wide open.
That's his thing. That's his move.
Yeah, he did that for SWAT as well.
Well, see here, this is another one. And he brings in for a touchdown.
He flexed again.
His second touchdown of the game.
He flexed twice.
So wide open.
Yeah.
Both times.
So that's honestly that's something we're trying to do more this season. Trying to bring in that component.
It's pretty cool.
Stay tuned for more clips of the show as well that'll be available to the public to the FPF going public on the wall.
FPF going public. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's those are a series of words.
Those are words he said in a sentence.
Yeah, you and I, Simon, were at the another game last night
Maybe.
where we were watching at the same time. We were watching Flag Moissac
Flamois against Got Fat.
against Goffat. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the current iteration of the team, which is awesome, by the way.
Got Fat. Yeah, it's got skills that no longer have skills.
But they still have skills.
No,
They
there's
still
still.
have skills,
However,
but
the
fatter skills.
skill that was most prevalent in this game for both teams was throwing ball to the other team.
I mean, it didn't happen that often, but yes. The first.
For a Division 1 game, it happened often.
Yes. So first play from scrimmage for Flamois. They go on offense. First play intercepted by Jeff Mackey. What a very good game, by the way. Like he's a low key player that's not necessarily like a star player anymore. He used to be when he played with Express back in the days, but he's not anymore. He had a phenomenal game. And first play intercepted Alex Nadopius. Got back on offense at their like own 10 or whatever. Couldn't get a first down. Nick Chantomo got a bad sack on third down, which created fourth and long. They went for it, didn't get anything out of it. So Flamois ended up getting the ball back at the opening 5. So already in the red zone, scored, and from that point on, Flamois was perfect on offense, scored on every single drive, and Got Fat couldn't do anything. Like the following drive, you're down 6. Okay, it doesn't matter. Intercepted. They score back. You're down 13. Intercepted again. You're down 20. And then from that point on, from that 20 or 19 nothing lead, they just traded touchdowns back and forth. But it didn't matter. Like both teams knew that game was over. Got Fat was never going to catch up to Flamois, and they just scored points because whatever. Because whatever.
One thing I remarked to you, Simon, in that game was how does it seem that Alex Nadopius is always in the right place at the right time?
Like it's like the other quarterback is throwing at him.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
We have a couple of clips of this game too. Corey Greenway, for example, getting a touchdown for Got Fat. He didn't get fat though.
He did not.
Is he the fittest guy on the team?
He'd be the first guy on a lot of teams, to be honest.
That's the one where he got
Yeah.
cleaned out
Yeah.
by Jonathan Beaulieu in the back end zone. So this looked like your typical bang bang play. So the ball's thrown high. Both guys are going for the same ball. And as Corey came down, he took what I believe from my angle looks like a shoulder to the face. Or maybe a hand.
Chest or face
Yeah.
or shoulder.
He got clipped, and knowing the guys on Flamois, they're not dirty players. So it wasn't like intentional. I want to
No,
hit.
he's just breaking on the ball.
He was just breaking, and he didn't expect his body to go that way. It looked worse than it actually was. Like if you look at it, it looks really bad. Like
Yeah.
it looks like Corey is in. He took a few plays off, but I think he was just like he wasn't expecting contact, and he just took it the wrong way. He played the rest of the game. He took like 1 or 2 plays off, and he plays the rest of the game, which is good news, by the way. But yet, Joe Beaulieu got 5 plays off and got a UR for that.
Yeah, and similarly, we have a play brought to us again by Chris Rivet, who will be with us in studio from time to time again this season. This is a touchdown pass from Nadopius to Anthony Van Ram.
It's a very typical play that Flamois runs every now and then.
Yeah. Just in front of the end zone, hard to cover.
Yeah,
There you go.
Anthony Van Ram just buys a little bit of time makes the DB miss, and then gets to the cone first. And
Guys, there's been an upset. DK this week stands for down for the count.
That's too many letters.
yeah, it doesn't work with DK.
That's right. Also count
K.
deserves K.
No,
But Montreal's finest were down for the count. They lost 38-37. Man, were they happy. Was DK happy
Yeah.
after this game?
I was at that game, and DK, they have never beaten Finest.
well, pretty much everybody in Div 1 knows this by now.
Okay.
It's a known fact that DK never beat Finest.
They never beat Finest, and then they ended up winning when Matt Bond batted away a 2-point conversion from Kevin White for the win. And as soon as that happened, Matt Bond got jumped by his teammates in complete joy. And no injuries, thankfully, but they celebrated as if they won the Super Bowl. There was probably beer at the end of that, champagne, most likely. But but it was a very good game. It was back and forth. A man that doesn't really make mistakes, and Kevin Wyeth threw a pick that kind of brought his team down by 2 scores because then DK capitalized on it. And but Kevin Wyatt, the way he is, he still managed to come back and make it close and a 1-point victory for DK. It was crazy. It was very fun to see the energy in the Brassard Field 3. And that was a pretty fun game to watch. It was pretty good, and Rajdi, I think, enjoyed it the most because Rajdi and Kevin Wyatt have kind of a friendly feud, I'd say. Friendly feud.
Well, they used to play together.
They used to play together, and now they're trying competing battle of quarterbacks, and Wyatt always wins until this game here, and it was very good. It was enjoyable to see the passion and emotion that they showed after the win.
One thing you won't see on the score sheet is Morin Faneuf, for the finest, actually had 6 receptions for 131 yards and a touchdown. If you're wondering why François has the most yards on this team. So there is a hidden player for not wearing a jersey. So hashtag Theogate.
Waste you beat the Braves. This is another potential upset.
Solid.
I saw that game as well.
I mean, so like the thing is, like a lot of these teams are so close, it's hard to call it an upset. Okay,
yeah.
DK over.
It's not DK over finance.
DK
is only an upset.
But is that everybody over finance pretty much?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only so much an upset because first of all they were 0-8 before the game, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And DK were 0-2 coming to this game, right? So they needed some sort of win to sort of claw themselves back out of the bottom 2. Beating finances is a serious way to do it. Waste you, they're a bit underrated this season in Division 1 just because of how they played last season. Like we had a lot of hype about Waste last season in Division 1 when they first came in as our first season in D1. See what happens. They got a few close games, but in the end, the record wasn't necessarily as astonishing as it could have been. So I feel like this season is sort of the same. Right? I guess it's sort of the same outcome. So we're not putting too much stock in it, but a big win over Braves on what they had a 1-point lead. Braves scored with like 3 plays left in the game, and they were down 7, scored, decided to go for 2 to win the game, and they got picked 6 on the convert for 2, which makes it 3-point game instead of just 1.
Yeah, and the Braves put up a hell of a fight. This is what we expected this kind of game. We knew it would be close. We would have possibly thought Braves come on the head on this one.
Braves were up 14-0.
Yeah, but the Braves were shooken up. Yeah, they had an early lead. The Braves got shooken up by a few questionable calls by our officials, and it kind of like psyched them out. It kind of ruined the momentum that they had going in with the 2-score lead. And Waste Youth, good for them. They didn't give up. Usually Dan Lazara, he's usually hard on himself when he's not winning.
I heard Joe Murray got into a little argument with Quasi on that game.
Yeah, John Mayer. That was it was nothing major. It was basically because Quasi celebrated, and John Mayer is like, "Oh, there's still so much game left." And then after he said something in French, something quickly in French, and then Quasi had no idea. He's like, "I don't know what the hell you're saying." There was like a little back, and there was a little. It was chirping mostly, nothing big, and but it ultimately the Braves. Honestly, that team, like every time I watch them play, like they just it's so easy for them. If they didn't bum themselves out because of questionable calls, in their opinion, some of them were clear as day, but the refs made the right call, but they obviously disagree because it went against them. But if they didn't psych themselves out, they probably would have came out victorious. But then good for usually, like I was saying before, Dan Lazara, when he's not winning, he hates on himself, and he usually makes stupid mistakes. He threw a pick that was early in the game, and then he bounced back. And then they came out with the win. And they were very happy. Dan Lazara made sure that everybody knew that he beat the Braves.
Okay.
He was like talking everyone on the way out.
Even though the only 2 teams that were at the field were the Braves and Waste Youth. But he made sure that everybody knew that he beat the Braves.
Okay.
Because Papin only has 1 field on Monday.
So the guy...
So basically
the guy make sure there's no bags on the field. He went to be like, "Hey, did you see I beat the Braves?"
Did you see I beat the Braves, you know? Very good. Who are the Braves? The other team.
The guys
we beat.
That's who.
Make sure you know that. But
if you know anything tonight, that's the thing you'll know.
You remember, you forget 1,000 things a day. Make sure you don't forget that I won against the Braves. That was Dan Lazara.
You can't sit with us.
You can't sit.
Big win over Kings Landing. Kings Landing fall to 0-3. after they took that loss by a 31-24 score. You can sit with us is impressing me, guys.
It's a good team. The roster itself is good. Alex Olawak playing quarterback for that team helps. Like I don't know if it's an improvement from what Liam Mahoney brought to this team, but it's close. And they have a very strong team in a wide open Division 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
The one knock is King's Landing doesn't look good. They're struggling. They would be too strong for Division 3, but they feel like they're just not quite there yet for Division 2.
There was Division 2.5, they'd thrive.
Yeah, and listen, it's a good
Or
team.
go 5-5.
Or go 5-5.
Because they play half Division 2 teams and half Division 3 teams.
But they're struggling just to be consistent. Like they're consistent in the fact that their offense is not putting up enough points. 24 won't win games in Division 2. And next up, they have STL, Killer Bees, and Alcoholics. Although they said during the game to guys on You Can Sit With Us, we'll see you guys in the playoffs. I'm starting to believe there's a solid chance Kings Landing will not make the playoffs.
Yeah. So they're delusional is what you're saying.
Their schedule is
they have,
not
They have
easiest.
STL, they have Killer Bees, they have Alcoholics. How do you guys see that schedule working out for them?
Well, I see them lose to STL.
Yeah, they're losing to STL.
But Killer Bees,
They're sneaky good, man.
they are sneaky good. They're that team that, you don't really know who they are.
Charles Saint Martin's playing
Yeah,
like
he's
he's
playing
learning.
very good. They
He's,
played very good. They
he's
had a
not-
big win this week.
his last season was in 2012.
Yeah.
And so far this season, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it's
So
a very
good
good
start so
ratio
far.
for Div 2.
Killer Bees won 41-38
Yeah.
over Terror Squad.
Terror Squad.
Is this the kind of game Killer Bees needed to put themselves on the map?
Killer Bees needed a
When
big
you
game.
know a question was written by Simone.
Killer Bees needed a big game to sort of tell everybody that they're going to be a contender season. They won't just be one of those teams that are going to finish 2-8. I find that they needed some very good offensive outing because Charles Saint Martin is a good quarterback, but throwing 6 touchdowns in a game is impressive by itself. 7 would be even more, but you don't get to throw 7 touchdowns every week. If their offense is able to put up 40 plus every week, Killer Bees is going to win 6, 7, maybe 8 games. They have the receivers to do it. It's just a matter of getting their quarterback in line, and I think they're slowly getting there.
Agreed. No, honestly, they've been fun to watch. It's been good to see. What's up with Terror Squad?
It's all the same. It's always the same. Right, last season they were 2-4-3, 3 ties, or something like that. They had 3 ties, but I don't remember if it was 4-3-3 or 3-4 and whatever.
2-4-3 is 9 games, by the way.
3-4-3 or 4-3-2, whatever.
Bunch of ties.
3 ties for some
They had
reason.
3 ties. Makes sense.
But what shocks me the most about Terror Squad is it just feels like is that team that was in Division 2 a long time ago that was successful with having Pat Jerome lost. Pat Jerome, who's hands down one of the best players in FPF, lost him, kept the same team, not as relevant in Division 2 anymore. Some of the guys are getting older, slower. They're not as good as they
Are
used
they
to
a
be.
Division 3 team at this point?
The problem is they won't fit in Division 3.
No, they'd be too strong for Division 3. And even if they do adjust their cap, which they probably won't, their team has good players. It's just, Tam at quarterback is kind of unpredictable, let's say. He's an unorthodox quarterback. He tries to make plays happen. See, the problem is if the rusher is, because Tam's not very tall, obviously. People know Tam. But if the rusher comes at him and is like looking over him all the time, it's hard for him to throw over. So a lot of his passes were like wobblers or they weren't very accurate because he had trouble seeing over the rusher that was coming at him. But other than that, I mean, if they could run a lot more than just once every 2 plays, they'd probably be better off because they have speed. But when it comes to size and they lack in size, and that plays dividends in the Div 2.
Bad Boys took on STL. STL won that game 46-18. Before we get into an Sunday game, let's take a look at the last play of the first half.
He wasn't ready.
I literally stretched out that sentence as long as I
wasn't
could.
ready.
Maybe if he wasn't playing Pokemon Go.
He wasn't.
And the ball got thrown to the back of the end zone. And there you have it.
So threw back at the end zone. Jamie wasn't probably wasn't sure he could
Jamie
secure.
Rosea?
Yeah, wasn't secure the football. Sort of threw it at Zach Warren, who caught it. When you're watching the replay, I was there with the City game. When you're watching the replay, it really feels like he actually threw it at somebody.
Yeah.
But during the game, like on a split second when it happened, it just looked like he tried to get it, didn't contest the ball, and Zach Warren caught it off
Yeah.
the ground. So it sort of differs the outcome, but it's still you're up 7 points just before the half, or it was 6 points at the time. Up 6 points. The other team punts on the second to last play of the half. They give you one play, which most teams usually just punt through. Whatever, doesn't matter. Let's go. We're up by 6. We'll take it. They decide to go for it. They go with a trick play to buy time to get the receivers there. Worked out. Got 8 points because they got 2-point converts right afterwards. And now you're up 14 against a team that's struggling. And that was it. STL just dominated from that point on.
Is Craig O'Brien good enough? He played quarterback for Bad Boys. Is he good enough to play in Division 2?
Not with that team. Bad Boys were missing. They were missing Pat Chenal, which is the reason why Craig was there. They were missing Alex Pilon, and they were missing Nick Arsenault. Right?
Yeah,
So their
so it's
two
tough.
best players and one of their best defensive player was not there for that game. So you're giving the team to a less experienced quarterback who's usually plays lower divisions, which doesn't take away anything from Craig, but you're giving him a team without the best playmakers on it.
Yeah.
And you're asking him to beat one of the best teams in the division. It's a tall task, and then you kind of strip him away from having Nick Arsenault, having Alex Pilon to help him out.
Definitely makes it difficult. The thing is, would this team be better, you think, with Pat Chenard as a receiver and Craig O'Brien at quarterback? If you had the full complement and Pat Chenard as an additional receiver.
Well, in my opinion, I feel like this team would be better off with Pachinard at quarterback. I know Pachinard is a very good receiver, but Craig O'Brien, he doesn't really play much with these guys. So it's tough to build a certain chemistry, and in Division 2, chemistry is huge. He's competing, like you said, STL, one of the best teams in Div 2. They're a very, very strong team, complete team. So, just having him come in to cover without his top guys was probably, asking the world out of Craig. He's good, but for him to come in cold, let's just say, playing in a high division that he's not really used to playing against, it was tough. But this team needed Pachinard, and it would have been a different outcome.
They needed the weapons.
Yeah,
they needed Nick
That's what I'm saying, though.
Arsenault.
If they had all the weapons.
I think it would have been closer. I don't think
It
they
would've
would have
been
won
closer,
this
yeah.
game. I think that the way STL played, they were head and shoulders above what Bad Boys could have been on that night with Craig O'Brien. If they would have had Pat Chenal, I think it would have made. The problem is he's a very good defensive player, which helps Bad Boys all around. I don't think they're a better team with Craig than they are with Pat. I just think they need to get all their pieces together.
Eagle, do we have Hollow?
We do not.
All right, final thoughts.
that's
And
great.
games
Oh, yeah,
of the week.
Les parties de la semaine, bro.
Games of the week.
Wait, I had something for this. I want to do it again. Games of the week.
He's trying so hard.
Can you shoot yourself in the face?
Wow.
With a 12 gauge.
See, I wasn't going that far. It doesn't have to be deadly. It just has to make him stop doing that.
So with a slingshot and you hit your cheek, so it just hurts.
yeah. Well, I regret doing that entirely.
Or
That's
a water gun, and you're like, why am I doing this?
This is so annoying.
Because you have no other friends to play with, so you're just shooting yourself. in the
This
face.
got
Really
sad very
sad.
fast.
Sad.
You guys like taking very deep turns. Huh? You get
Eagles
depressed.
life on Twitter.
Eagles life on Twitter.
All right, so we're going to start with Div 2. So
Why-
let's go with hashtag NR versus controversy.
To your point, Simo, hashtag NR seem to be missing a top end talent. I think controversy wins this one.
Agreed.
Yeah, controversy is probably going to win this one. Now, Dan is, unless, of course, Dan lets the Braves victory get to his head and then he makes stupid mistakes. But other than that, it should be their game.
Even if he makes, even
We
if
actually invited him into the studio. He didn't fit through the door.
See, his
His
ego is
head
really,
drops.
yeah.
That's a garage
because he beat
He hit the garage door.
because
too.
he beat the Braves.
no, I think that
You know he beat the Braves.
did he?
You know he beat
Did
the
you know he
Did
beat
he?
the Braves?
Braves. Did you know he beat the
I know now. He would have told me if I hadn't, though. Next, we're going to go with Bad Boys versus Killer Bees.
Ooh.
You know what? I like this Killer Bees team.
Give
man.
me Killer Bees.
Give me Killer Bees team.
Killer Bees, low key, man. They're a pretty good team. No
No Pat Chenal this week.
Yeah, so see, that's a big loss. So Killer Bees might actually
It's just
come
so
up
hard
with
to
a very-
go against Chelsea Martin at this point. So Killer Bees.
Yeah, Killer Bees. It's a very close game though.
And we'll go with Nighthawks versus CO for life.
SYO.
CO.
What does that stand for, anyways?
Google it.
Google it.
SYO.
SYO for life.
We need to know what that means. SYO for life, I think, is going to struggle. Give me Nighthawks on this game.
Yeah, I believe Nighthawks are gonna beat SYO for life. I feel like SYO for life needs to figure out how to compete in this.
Silver Fox, Brooklyn
The-
Cherry, by the way, only one interception.
Nighthawks is a weak team for Division 2, in my opinion. SYO just doesn't belong.
Yeah.
So when you Google SYO for life, the top search results actually our website. So I just searched SYO, and clearly it stands for Saskatoon Youth Orchestra.
It has to
For
be.
life.
It has to be. That's what they say. Don't forget where you came
Saskatoon
from.
Youth Orchestra. That's
Never
amazing.
forget where you came from.
That's what SYO stands
Saskatoon.
for.
That's amazing.
SYO stands for never forget where you came
Breaking stories here on Calling the Audible. All right. In a battle of teams who both lost last week, we have Montreal Finest versus Braves.
That's a weird sentence.
That is. Who would have thought they would have put that in a sentence this week?
Man, if we were writing the script a week in advance, there's no way I would have thought that.
There's
There's
no
no
way.
chance.
We're scripping that sentence. Give me Braves with the upset. I think
Yeah,
that-
you know
Is it
what?
considered an upset though?
I mean,
yeah.
no.
Well, it's finest. I think
Yeah.
Just because it's finest, but
Braves
I mean,
has been playing.
Braves are a sick team.
Braves have been playing finest really well, and
Yeah.
I just have a feeling Braves are going finest are going to lose back to back.
no, I know. I finest gonna be mad. They're gonna win this game.
Yeah.
It'll be ugly. 3 scores.
Yeah, if they actually have their full squad, which they didn't, they'll probably win.
You know, I don't think finest has lost back to back games in like 7 or 8 years.
Google last time finest lost back-to-back games.
You know what? I think it's actually gonna be very hard to go
Yeah.
find that. Like that would
Just say never. You'll be
yeah,
safe.
never exactly. For our next game, we're gonna go with Flagmoil Sac versus D Boys.
Oh, this is gonna
Um,
be offense. Man.
Yeah, something's been up with the boys.
But they won this week with a lot of points.
Yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. But they're turning it around. It's just hard to see them. I don't think they'll be able to score enough to keep up with Flagmon.
Nah, Flagmon the Sacks attack is just insane. Like honestly, they could probably they could probably put up 40 points every game if they wanted to.
Yes.
They'll probably win. Flagmon.
DK, we already gave them enough credit this week, so we'll skip over them. So we have Monstars versus Waste Ute.
Ooh.
Hey, fun game. Give me Monstars. I like the height advantage that Monstars poses. I think it's also gonna help that the Mastro brothers play with Dan Lazara, so they're gonna know his playbook a little bit better. Playing against him on defense is gonna help them. I see Monstars excelling here.
Yeah, the Monsters are gonna beat the Waste Youth because their heads are way too high.
Give me Waste Dude. I think Lazaro rides this wave.
Rides this wave.
The head.
I
gets
feel like he's
bigger.
gonna crash like down into the earth.
Into the hurt.
Into the earth.
Into
Not
the
just on the floor.
Not
into
crash
the
down
earth.
to earth. Crash.
He's gonna go like into like a few feet,
Yeah.
which you could dig by yourself with a shovel. We learned that on Calling the Audible.
And before we wrap, we do have one Facebook comment. Blah, blah, blah. Anyone need a top-notch QP followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smiley cry faces? You know, the one where he's like tears coming out of his eyes when he's
Yeah.
laughing so hard? From the one, the only,
Michael Roy.
the abstinator himself, Michael Roy.
I knew it. I even called it. I even said Mike Roy. That's
I
good.
mean, look, Finest lost.
Finest lost. You might have to replace Kevin Wyatt there, Mr. Roy.
Listen, SYO doesn't have a quarterback.
Oh, that's also very
That's
true.
not bad.
That's
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, he would be an upgrade. I can.
Prospect
see it.
squad
I
too.
think- Sorry,
Yeah, but they have. I think they're sticking with Vincent.
Yeah.
Bruno.
Prospect
or
squad.
freshman, the 3. Freshman.
Yeah,
You
freshman
know
also.
Prospect Squad need? A snapper. Oh, God, those
Oh
snaps.
my God, they're so bad.
Like,
Yeah.
I could have done a better job.
No.
And I don't know how.
I
No.
seriously doubt
No.
that, Eagle.
No.
Come on now.
You
Try to
play
be
snapper
realistic.
for me.
I
No.
watched 6 plays and half of them went into the ground. I can do a better job.
No, you cannot. You've tried. You failed.
Really?
Moving on.
That's how
When did
good
you
I
snap?
think I am compared
That
to this
team,
guy.
that time he was on our team and you were missing. So I had Eagle snap and it was so bad that I think Justin took over.
That's so bad. That's pretty bad. I didn't even know this.
That's how bad this guy was. I think I'm better
That's
than
awful.
that.
That's awful.
Final thoughts?
No.
Nice, let's go to bed. I'm so tired. Stefano.
Well, this was fun, and I hope that you don't call me back.
Unironically.
You don't call me
Listen,
back.
I'm
'cause
just
this
saying-
is way too much work.
I'm just saying,
See you next week.
Mokan's not here next week.
Is he not really back? No, give it to the
Number one
first
sub.
choice, Terrence Tam.
Terrence Dam.
Terrence Tam. Terrence Tam is better than Terry Tam. Yep. Well, this was fun, and I hope.
Shut up now. Eagle.
I hope that
Stop talking!
than everybody else.
The bag of candy was 185 grams. I'm expecting more next week.
You're not for me. It's
He's
awful.
gonna die of more beaties.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Eagle, for pressing all those buttons. Thank you, Mike Roy, for tuning in live. Most importantly, thank you all for letting me be myself.
Nobody likes you when you're yourself.
More beanies.
I mean, I like you. And really, that's all that
I don't
matters.
even think
How many
Natalia
beanies do you need? Like 7?
Just more.
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 Anything more than what it is.
You know what, Eagle? Remember our salary arrangements. For every amount of BDs you get, I get one more.
All the beanies.